Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today with another fantasy football video. Today's video is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Carolina Panthers reaction, recap, everything that has to do with fantasy football from this Thursday night football game. I'm recording this immediately after the game ended. So before I start the video, I'd like to ask if you could please go down below and click that subscribe button, because not only is it going to help me, it's also going to help you, because I'm going to help you guys dominate every single fantasy football game from all these videos I release. I release at least about like 10 videos every single week about fantasy, so you're not going to want to miss out on that. So let's get right into the video here. So like I said, this is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer versus Carolina Panthers Thursday night football breakdown. Now, the Buccaneers did come out and win the game 20-14, but it did look close right at the end of the game. They called the fake Philly special. The Carolina Panthers just snap the ball directly to Christian McCaffrey. He goes left and gets stuffed and is not able to get that first down. Personally, I think they should have called a quarterback run, and Cam Newton should have ran the ball straight up the middle. But that is, I'm not the fucking coach, so I can't really say anything. So let's talk about first. We're going to talk about Cam Newton, 25 for 51, or 25 of 51 for 333 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and no rush yards. So he really played pretty good, I thought, for like what he had. He was getting crushed like every single play. Like after the play, he'd always get he'd always get hit, and he's like barely had any time to throw the ball. He played pretty good, but I mean, he isn't throwing touchdowns. So next week, I would feel very uncomfortable starting him. Now I know in some spots you may be stuck starting him, but I may look for a guy like Derek Carr or Andy Dalton on the waiver wire to just start ahead of him, because I'm really worried about it. I think a couple of weeks into the season, he will be fine. Maybe 4 weeks into the season, you will be able to start him. But right now, I'm kind of off of Cam Newton at the current moment. So we'll also talk about the rushing game for Carolina before we talk about the Panthers at all. And that is Christian McCaffrey, 16 carries for only 37 yards, which is just 2.3 average yards per rush. Now, I know he makes a lot of that up in the passing game, but this game, he only had 2 receptions for 16 yards. So he barely crossed 50 yards total. I know everyone who started Christian McCaffrey is probably pissed off, but I mean, everyone should have started Christian McCaffrey. If you benched Christian McCaffrey, you're from the future, because you should not have done that, even though he had a terrible game. You would have to have Christian McCaffrey in your lineup every single week. Now, there are some pluses from Carolina that I would like to talk about, and that is Greg Olsen, 6 for 110 and no touchdowns, obviously, because Cam didn't throw any touchdowns. I would not advise, like, I don't love picking Greg Olsen up, but if you're stuck in a fucking pickle next week, Greg Olsen may be that for you. Curtis Samuel, 5 for 91. 0 touchdowns. DJ Moore, 9 for 89 and 0 touchdowns. I like to see that Curtis Samuel had quite of a comeback game. Last week, a lot of people thought he was useless. He did terrible. This week, comes back, 5 receptions for 91 yards. Both him and DJ Moore probably would have had over 100 yards if Cam Newton was a more accurate passer and was able to throw the ball a couple of times more closer to the guy that he's throwing the ball to. It seemed like there were multiple plays where it could have been a touchdown or just a long play, like when Curtis Samuel got hit. Maybe it was the first or second quarter on the left side of the field. If Cam Newton was able to throw the ball slightly further, Curtis Samuel would have broke and scored a touchdown. So I think that just certain things like that involve Cam's shoulder are probably why Cam's playing so bad, and then why it may take a couple of weeks for him to get better, in my opinion. Now, Tampa Bay side of the ball, famous Jameis, 16 for 25, 208 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had that bounce back game after last week, playing like pure fucking garbage against the 49ers. I am not really still loving starting Jameis Winston, but I may start Jameis Winston over Cam Newton in a situation. I'm going to have to see who they're playing next week. Now, Peyton Barber got a majority of the carries, 23 carries for 82 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, I didn't even advise anyone to start him this week. I advised people to start Ronald Jones because they said that he was going to get a fucking most of the carries. It turns out, no, psych with that. Fucking Peyton Barber was getting all the touches, so I'm just staying away from the Tampa backfield now. Very confusing. Now, the Tampa Bay the receiving game had a lot to talk about here. Chris Godwin, 8 for 121 and a touchdown. Chris Godwin, I told you guys to draft him, was a guy that was amazing in this game, was amazing last week, is going to be a guy that's amazing from here on out. Now, Mike Evans, 4 for 61. That's like 10 points in a PPR league. Do not panic about that, okay? He had 2 bad weeks in a row. Last week he was sick. This week he was perfectly healthy, but they're just covering him. They're putting their best guy on Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans will next week have a really good game, and I'm not worried at all about Mike Evans. I will continue to start him in my lineup. Cameron Brate had an okay game, 2 for 10 on 2 targets, reeled both of them in. Now I want to talk about OJ Howard. OJ Howard got no targets, no receptions, no yards, no touchdowns. What the fuck are you doing, Bruce Arians? It seems like Cameron Brate is their tight end. They're not using OJ Howard at all. I am very scared of OJ Howard. If you can trade him for anything, I would fucking abort him right now the fuck off of my team. I cannot have OJ Howard on my team. I don't want him. You got to get rid of him. I don't want to have OJ Howard on my team at all. It seems like they're not going to use him, and you're just going to have to bench him, frankly, and try to pick up a guy like Greg Olsen or something next week to play because OJ Howard is just not going to be useful this year. It seems like Bruce Arians doesn't want to use him. Also, on the defensive side of the ball, the Panthers did pull through, had a solid defensive day. Now, obviously, the Buccaneers scored 20 points, but they got a bunch of sacks. They had 2 fumbles. They had 3 total fumbles. The Carolina Panthers got 3 fumbles. They got a safety, so they played good. I called that. I told you guys they would be good. So hopefully, you guys got all this information down. You got everything down from probably shouldn't start Cam Newton next week to probably shouldn't be starting OJ Howard next week, and to the fact that you shouldn't really worry about Mike Evans. Hopefully, you got all of that down. Hopefully you enjoyed the fucking video, because if you did, I would like if you would go down below and click that subscribe button, because like I told you at the beginning of the video, I'm going to be releasing videos every single day, multiple videos every single day that are really helpful for you to win your fantasy football championship. So thank you all for watching. I love each and every single one of you guys. Have a great goddamn day. Goodbye.